Now, let us see from the next segment the topic chance and probability. Now, this is a very common topic that we generally use even in our day-to-day lives. For example, if I say it's a cloudy day, then what is the probability or what is the possibility that it will rain today? Or what is the probability if I toss a coin, what is the probability that there will be a head or a tail, right? Or what is the probability if I throw a dice, right? What is the probability that it will land on a number 2? So, that the chances, what is the chance of it? So, the chances of occurrence of an event, like an event is, if I want a number 1, how many times 1 can occur if I throw the dice? What is the chance that it will land on 1? What is the chance that it will land on a prime number? What is the chance that I'll get an even number for it? Okay, so these are the various terms that we use for probability, the possibility or the happening of an event. So we say, what is chance? What is the chance of rain today? If I toss a coin, I'll get a head or tail. Similarly, for the dice. So these words often come up in our day-to-day life. Let's see now what it is exactly. There are situations in our life when we come across many such cases that something may happen or it might not happen, right? Like if I toss a coin and I say it's a head, I call for a head, but it landed in a tail. That means what I expected, I knew it may be either head or tail, but exactly what will come is not aware for that. So we say, when we know what are the possible outcomes, but we are not sure which of them will occur. So there we can use the topic probability. That means what are the chances of happening of that event. It may happen or it may not happen. Now, probability basically, it is the chance of the occurrence of the event. This is a definition of probability which you need to understand also. And also it tells us about the likelihood of the occurrence or the non-occurrence of an event. Likelihood means how likely it is to occur. Is it more than 40%, 50% this way, or it is 4 by 10, 40 by 10 or something like that. Now, the probability that sun will rise from the west is 0 and the probability that sun will rise from the east is 1. That means we can say the minimum probability of happening of an event is 0 and the maximum probability of happening of an event is 1. So, here we see that probability of any event can be either minimum 0 or maximum 1. Because if it is an impossible event, the probability will be 0. If it is a sure event, the probability will be 1. So, we can conclude here the probability of an event may or may not happen lies between 0 and 1. So, minimum possible probability is 0%, that is 0, and maximum is 100%, that is 1. Now, there should be some formula for probability as well. What's that formula? Can we calculate the probability of an event? Like what is the possibility if I get a head, or what is the probability that it will land in a tail if I toss a coin? So, we represent it in this manner, that probability of A. A means the event, whatever it is. It may be getting a head, getting a tail, getting a number 1, 2, drawing a from a pack of card. If I draw any card and it should be a 2 of diamond, what is the possibility of that? So, we can say it is the number of the favorable outcome divided by the total of possible outcomes. Now, let us see certain problems that we face in our day-to-day life and how to calculate their probabilities. Now, for example, the first problem, are you getting older than yesterday? Are you older than yesterday? So, you will say yes, right? And this is certain to happen, that we get older day by day. That means this is a sure event. So, what is the probability that you are getting older than yesterday? The probability will be 1 because it is a sure event. Similarly, let us see if a coin is tossed, will land heads up? Is it a sure event? So, it may happen, it may not happen. In both these cases, since it is possible to get either head or tail, we say the event may be there or may not happen. That means there are chances 50-50. Why we say 50-50? Because there are only two options, that is head or tail. So we say 50-50. You learn these things in when you'll do some questions based on this. Okay, but it may happen or may not happen. The next is a die when tossed shall land up in 8 on the top. So is it possible? Because a die contains the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Can it ever land up in the number 8? No, not at all, because it is not having the number 8 on it. That means this event is an impossible event. So, what is the probability that a die when tossed shall land up with 8 on top? The probability will be 0, because we know the number of favorable outcomes divided by the total of the possible outcomes. So, what is the probability that you are getting older than yesterday? This is a sure event. That means it will always happen. Tomorrow you will be obviously older than what you are today. So, this is a sure event. So, probability of this event will be 1, because it is a sure event. Similarly, a tossed coin when landed heads up, it may or may not happen. So, here what is the probability of this event? Number of favorable outcomes, that it will land into heads, because what are the possible outcomes here? Either head or you will get either tail, either of the two ones. So, we can say that getting a head on the top, here in this case we have one option only. So, the number of favorable outcome is 1 divided by total possible outcomes, and it is 2. There are 2 possible outcomes, head or tail. So, what is the probability of this event? It will be 1 over 2. Okay. And the probability of the next event, that means a die, when will it land in the number 8 anytime? No, it is not possible. So, what are the number of favorable outcomes in this case? It is 0 divided by the total number of outcomes. The total number of outcomes here is 6. So, 0 divided by 6 is 0. And when we say the probability is 0, that means it is an impossible event. Remember, when the probability is 1, it is a sure event, and when the probability is 0, we say it is an impossible event. And in between 0 and 1, we have various possibilities, whether we can have a number between 0 and 1. Yes, of course, the probability can be 0 or 1 also, along with in between 0 and 1. That means the probability of any event here will lie. You can also write this thing as that probability of an event is less than or equal to the number 1, and we can also say the probability of an event will be greater than or equal to the number 0. So, probability lies between 0 to 1, and of course, it can be equal to 0, it can be equal to 1. That means probability of any event will be in decimals, maybe 0, maybe 1, and other, if not 0 and 1, it can be in a decimal form. So, I hope the concept of probability is also clear to you, the chances and the probability. So, now let us understand it with more clarity with one more example here. Let us see, a bag contains 5 white balls and 9 red balls. Now, one ball is taken out of the bag at random, and what is the probability that it is a white ball? Very simple. How many white balls are there? So, there are 5 white balls. And what is the total number of balls? So, the total number of balls here will be 5 plus 9, that is 14 balls. Okay. Now, probability that it will land up, you will get up a white ball, there is just the number of white balls present, that is 5, divided by the total number of outcomes, that is 14. So, 5 over 14. Now, let us find out what is the probability of drawing a red ball. So, again very simple, the number of favorable outcomes to draw a red ball is 9. So, 9 over 14 is the probability of drawing it. So, in this case we can see the probabilities, various probabilities when the number of outcomes are given, what are the total possible outcomes, and we just have to divide the favorable outcomes number divided by the total of the outcomes. So, I hope with this example, probability and the chances of occurrence of the events is clear, and you will be able to find out the probability of certain events. So, that's all from the chapter data handling. Take care, stay safe. Thank you.